Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, good evening from the Philippines. I just would like to test my audio. Is it okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
I can hear you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
Yes,
but there's an
systems are on.
echo.
Hello, Yatin. How are you?
Hello, Maria, I'm good. Since both your systems are on with the speakers, there is a echo which is coming in.
Hello, is it better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it is better. Yes.
Is it better?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
better.
On capacity development at the independent development evaluation of the African Development Bank. You are all welcome to this session under the topic Building Evaluation Culture in the Parliament, Approaches and Potential for Addressing Political Polarization. So the objective of this session is really to share experience and lesson from the Asia Pacific and Africa region on the step taken to promote an evaluation culture among parliamentarians and its potential contribution to preventing the issue of political polarization. So before we start, I will just remind you of the few housekeeping rules. So please mute your mic after your intervention or your presentation. Simultaneous interpretation are available. You will see a button down there as a shape of a globe. So you can choose to follow the presentation in English or in French. And finally, please leave your question in the Q&A chat and we will address it during the Q&A session. So now you are welcome again. And now we will move to the next step, which is the opening remark. So I will invite Ms. Jane Musumba. She's the division manager at the Independent Development Evaluation of the African Development Bank. Please, Jane, you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Marie-Jose. Honorable Kabir Hashim, Chair of the Global Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, Honorable Jeremy Adumahu, Chairperson of African Parliamentarians Network for Development Evaluation, Honorable Ramesh Pudel, Executive Committee Member of the Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, Dr. Rumulo E.M. Miral Jr., Deputy Secretary General, Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department, House of Representatives in Philippines, Dr. Ian Goldman, President of the International Evaluation Academy. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us today from across the globe. It is a privilege to open this important session on building evaluation culture in Parliament, approaches and potential for addressing political polarization. My name is Jane Musumba, Division Manager at the Independent Development Evaluation, IDEV, at the African Development Bank. This session is the result of a dynamic collaboration between IDEV, the Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, APPFE, the African Parliamentarians Network on Development Evaluation, APNOD, the Global Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, GPFE, and Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, APEA. Hopefully by the end of my remarks, you'll be more acquainted with these acronyms. I wish to extend my warmest thanks to each of these networks for their leadership in promoting the use of evaluation within legislative institutions and for organizing this timely dialogue. We are convening this discussion under the umbrella of gLOCAL Evaluation Week, the platform that uniquely embodies the spirit of shared learning and global local dialogue, a space that bridges international insights with regional and national realities. So allowing diverse voices and perspectives to come together in the pursuit of better governance, accountability, and evidence-informed decision-making. Ladies and gentlemen, in an increasingly polarized world, the role of parliaments as guardians of democratic values and public accountability has never been more vital. Polarization undermines trust, weakens institutions, and disrupts consensus-driven governance. Moderating voices are less and no longer heard. So in this context, fostering a strong culture of evaluation in parliaments becomes not just useful, but urgent. Evaluation provides a foundation for evidence-informed debate, transparency, and accountability. It allows legislators to look beyond partisanship and focus on facts, on what works, what doesn't, and why. It creates a common ground, a shared language that helps bridge political divides. So when parliaments institutionalize the use of evaluative evidence, they can legislate, budget, and represent with greater clarity and foresight. More importantly, they can ensure that policies are shaped by the real needs and aspirations of the people, not by ideology or misinformation or fleeting political interests. So networks like the African Parliamentarians Network on Development Evaluation, AfNOD, and the Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, APPFE, have been instrumental in building this culture. Through advocacy, peer exchange, capacity development, they empower parliamentarians to demand, use, and even commission evaluations that inform policy, legislation, and budgets. Their efforts show us what is possible when legislators commit to using evidence not just as a tool for oversight, but as a compass for policy and progress. So AfNOD's experience across Africa has shown how evaluation can become a critical part of budget scrutiny, public spending reviews, and social accountability. Similarly, APPFE's work across Asia and the Pacific is enabling parliamentarians to take a more active role in embedding evaluation practice into legislative functions. Ladies and gentlemen, we must build on these successes, strengthening the collaboration between parliamentarians and the national evaluation systems, so including governments, professional evaluators, and civil society. This will help promote inclusive and transparent decision-making processes. These partnerships are particularly powerful in politically sensitive contexts where evaluation can serve as a neutral space for dialogue and consensus building. Moreover, engaging parliamentarians in evaluation not only enhances policy quality, but also strengthens the link between the citizens and their representatives. It signals commitment to listening, to learning, and improving, which are fundamental principles of a democratic governance. So as we begin this session, I invite all of us to reflect on how we can support parliamentarians in using evaluation to navigate complexity, restore trust, and promote unity. Let us harness the collective knowledge and energy in this virtual room to advance evaluation as a force for cohesion, not division. In closing, let me once again express my sincere gratitude to APPEA, AfNOD, APPFE, and GPFE for your tireless efforts and collaboration. Your work is critical in shaping a future where evidence, accountability, and good governance prevail. So thank you very much. Back to you, Marie-José.
Wow, thank you, Jane, for this brilliant presentation. We are tempted now to add you among our speakers. So really thank you for reminding us the importance and role of our parliamentarians, especially in guiding trust in our institution. So now I will introduce and invite Honorable Kabir Hashim, the chair of the Global Parliamentarian Forum for Evaluation. He has a big announcement to make. Honorable Kabir, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Jeremiah Admao, the chair of the African Parliamentary Network for Evaluation, Honorable Ramesh Pariwal, representative from the Asia Parliamentary Forum, and Honorable Romulo Miral, from my friend from Philippines, Dr. Ian Goldman, president of the International Evaluation Academy, Jane Musumba, the divisional manager, African Development Bank, and all other distinguished participants and friends. I think Jane Musumba made such a good opening remark that it has made my job much easier. And today, because this event is something special, because we see the Asia Pacific Parliamentary Forum for Evaluation, the African Parliamentarians Network for Development Evaluation APNOD, the Global Parliamentary Forum for Evaluation coming together in one webinar. It's very important that three strong forces, and for APIA and the Center for Evaluation to have got together to get this to work is very important. So together, we are stronger than we think. I'm also happy to note that the target audience are government officials, the academia, students, WOPEs, advocacy groups, etc., who are actually stakeholders. And all these stakeholders, unless we all come together as one chain together, it's difficult to make evaluation work right through the system. In any evaluation conference or any panel discussion or any workshop or any webinar, there have been standard questions always asked about parliamentarians and policymakers about their role in evaluation, whether it's possible to bring them in, etc. And the questions are always the same, but the answers have been many and diverse. So it's time that we need to have definitive answers on these questions that have been posed. And not only the answers, it's time that we had an implementation framework where the answers can be put to practice. If you really look at the global scenario, before 2013, there was hardly any international conference on evaluation with parliamentarians. There was hardly any conference for evaluation where parliamentarians were there. But subsequently, in 2013, after that, the Global Parliamentary Forum for Evaluation changed that culture in Kathmandu, in the evaluation conclave, where the parliamentarians had a panel and the culture began to change. Today, there is no international conference or on evaluation or workshops or panels without parliamentarians. Every conference has parliamentarians and policymakers getting involved. So you see it took a long time. It took 13 years, 12 years from 2013 to come this far, but that change, the cultural shift has happened. Now evaluators, technical staff, everybody, the WOPEs, researchers come together with policymakers in the discussions. In fact, in 2018, the Eval Colombo conference was actually organized by parliamentarians, by the Global Parliamentary Forum itself, where all evaluators participated. And that was a success. And from there, we've come out with the Colombo Declaration as a roadmap. Subsequently, last year, we came up with the Manila Declaration. The Manila Declaration and the Colombo Declaration, both are an ideal roadmap to take to try and institutionalize evaluation within the policy framework. Now, it has taken a long time to get here, but as Warren Buffett said, I quote, "Someone is sitting in the shade because someone had planted a tree long time ago," unquote. So what we do today will definitely help the future generation. That's what we have to, the decisions we have to take. We are in a time where there's an unprecedented situation in the world, where there's a geopolitical shift. And in this geopolitical shift, the political changes coming through, there are also financial gaps that can be felt by every sector, every country, every person. And then on top of that, the citizens' demand for accountability is increasing. Youth are demanding transformational change. So it is in this complex environment that we need to stage ourselves to move forward. So the challenges are many. And when people are already talking about evaluation itself, about decolonization of evaluation, making it more sensitive, localizing evaluation to culture, to the global south, the needs of the global south. And at the same time, people are talking about artificial intelligence, AI, and using modern tools for evaluation to be more usable, right? With all this coming in, whilst we think of the above, there are some basic home truths that I think in these opening remarks I just push to you, because what you all are going to present, I'm sure, is going to teach us a lot of things. So one of the things is that the Colombo Declaration and the Manila Declaration, which was a roadmap for policymakers to try and institutionalize evaluation, is critical. And I would like to close by saying that the steps we would see that we should move forward is to ensure national evaluation policies in every parliament, because we think that it is mandatory that you have evaluation, the policy in place by Act of Parliament. And then we've been talking about institutional strengthening of Parliament, because institutional strengthening is important to strengthen Parliament itself more than parliamentarians, because to have a monitoring and evaluation unit within each parliament. Then the next one is to ensure that we have evaluation policy implementation framework in each country, because not having only the policy is not enough. You need an implementation framework for the public sector, for the national and subnational and the local level, to be able to grasp the use of evaluation. And then, of course, the capacity development plan to develop the national capacity in evaluation. And there are new ideas coming in, which we should discuss as we go along, so that it is very important that policymakers get involved in this and make these changes for evaluation to be put to good use. And it's the best time ever. So I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Yatin Divakar and his team at APEA and everybody else, all the organizations that have come together, especially the Parliamentary Forum, the network in Africa, the Asian Parliamentary Forum, specialists who have come in here to support this move. This is a critical time, and it's ideally timed webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kabi. Thank you for setting the ground for this presentation. So to all parliamentarians around the world, if you heard us today, a big call has been made to all of you to use evaluative evidence for decision making. So now I will invite APEA to take the group picture. So ladies and gentlemen, we're about to take a group photo on the screen. So please show us your most beautiful smile. Please, APEA team, you have 2 minutes. Thank you. Is it done, please? Thank you. So the next step is the presentation, but before, I will introduce all the speakers, and after that, we will give them the floor to tell us more about this important topic. So the first speaker is Dr. Jan Godman. Is the president of the International Evaluation Academy and a monitoring and evaluation specialist advisor with the South African Presidency. He is the founder of the Twende Imbele African Monitoring and Evaluation Partnership. He is also a global specialist as he has worked in more than 20 countries and has more than 2 decades of experience in the field of monitoring and evaluation. Our second speaker is Honorable Ramesh Pujal, which is an executive committee member of the Asia Pacific Parliamentarian Forum for Evaluation. He has served as a member of parliament in the provincial parliament of Bagmati province in Nepal. His focus is on the youth participation in political leadership. And finally, he has more than 15 years of experience in the development sector. I will now switch to French because the third speaker is francophone. Je vous introduis Honorable Jérémy Adomaï. Il est le président du comité exécutif du réseau de l'APNOD. Il est un champion reconnu de l'évaluation au sein des parlements africains. Il a été élu député au Bénin en 2015. Il a siégé à plusieurs commissions législatives importantes et possède plus de 25 ans d'expérience dans le domaine des travaux publics et de l'évaluation des projets. Donc je retourne en anglais. I will switch back to English. And our final speaker is Dr. Romilo Miral. He is the Deputy Secretary General of the Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department in the House of Representatives in Philippines. He has more than 3 decades of working for the government, including public topics such as public expenditure management, and he has served as a lecturer at the School of Economy in the University of Philippines. So now we will start the presentation with Dr. Jan Godman. Dr. Jan, please, over to you. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good to be with you. Just to say that the International Evaluation Academy is it was established in 2022, and its mission is to promote the generation and application of knowledge around how evaluation can contribute to addressing the polycrisis that we're facing. And I should just say that I was at that conference in Colombo in 2018 and met Honorable Hashim then at that time. So good to be with you all today. And I'm going to talk because actually one of my previous experiences is I established the evaluation system in South Africa, and I ran it in the 2010s. And I'm going to start off by talking about some experiences with the Parliament of working with them on evaluation. And then I'm going to switch and say, well, what do we do about addressing the polycrisis, and what's Parliament's role in that, and how can we do this in a way which also addresses polarization? So in 2010, a new Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation was allocated to be overseen by the Appropriations Committee in Parliament. And the main responsibility of this committee was actually about appropriations to government departments that didn't know anything about monitoring and evaluation. And what we did is we organized a 3-day training in monitoring and evaluation for the committee. We ran study tours to Uganda, Kenya, and the US and Canada in 2012-13 to benchmark on experience in those countries and to build an understanding of what monitoring and evaluation was about and how it could contribute. And this really had an impact. It really built the committee's understanding of monitoring and evaluation, and also changed the relationship between the committee and DPME from a hostile relationship, which is, I think, quite typical in parliaments, where there's a sort of the departments are interrogated by the committees, to a much more collaborative relationship, recognizing that we were on the same team trying to improve the way development operated in South Africa. And also, particularly in those study tours, just a chance to have meals together, chats together, help to build an understanding and a relationship with DPME, but also across the political parties, So it wasn't just about the dominant political party. And at that stage, particularly, we had a very dominant political party. However, after 2014, the elections, the responsibility, after the 2014 elections, the responsibility changed to a different committee, the Public Service Committee, and all members of the Appropriations Committee were changed. So there was a complete loss of institutional memory. And DPME had to start again in working with this new committee. And we did not invest at that stage in what we'd invested in the previous committee to try and build that understanding. So one of the implications is, yes, we can build that relationship, we can build the understanding across parliaments, but a danger that government is sometimes not doing what it could to make sure that parliament is as effective as possible. And there's also a risk in focusing on members of parliament because they change. And so the importance of the parliamentary institution, the researchers, the librarians, the administrative staff, which are permanent and stay, and building their capacity, as well as, yes, the capacity of members of parliament. So that was one experience. I wanted to then give another one, which is from the executive position, we encouraged the parliamentary committees to use evaluation evidence. So at that time, all evaluation reports and we had national evaluation. When I say all evaluation reports, all national evaluations that DPME was responsible for were sent to Parliament after approval by Cabinet, saying that the custodian department, that was responsible for the program or policy that was being evaluated, could present to the relevant committee, and which happened. But sometimes DPME was also asked to present, and sometimes I presented to parliamentary committees. The evaluation reports are available publicly on a repository, and some MPs did access these to strengthen their work and to interrogate departments. They accessed these evaluation reports. And in some cases, based on requests from Parliament, we selected national evaluations to be undertaken, for example, one on scholar transport. However, the system weakened from 2019 and these evaluations were no longer submitted. So this points to there's a challenge in getting government evaluation used systematically by Parliament. We need to make sure that MPs and researchers are aware of the value, they're informed about the evaluations available, and that they're able to ask relevant departments to come and report on what the evaluations are saying. So these are two examples of how we used it. We can see some examples of how it did help with across polarization. But I now want to switch slightly, which is thinking now about going forward and where we've got to move into the future. We are in the middle of a polycrisis, a crisis that's ecological, it's economic, it's geopolitical, it's social, it's energy and resources, it's relational, and it's spiritual. And part of the reason for this is the domination of Euro-Western worldviews about the way the world should run. And it's informed by imperialism, colonialism, patriarchy, and supremacy. And this is hegemonic worldview of the way the world should be run. And actually, from the Global South in particular, we need to challenge that economic monomyth and say that we need to be looking at the world in a different way. And that will need, and this diagram is from an Indian futurist called Sahana Chattopadhyay. And I really like this diagram and I use it a lot. And facing this polycrisis, what the Academy has done has tried to think about how evaluation could play a role so that it can contribute to addressing this polycrisis. And I want to just talk through this a little bit and then try and relate it to parliaments. So what we did is we did a process which is called a 3 Horizons process. We actually did a GLOCAL session on this on Monday, and there will be a recording of that that's available for people to see. But Horizon 1 is the current situation, which is there. It's not fit for purpose. We're seeing the climate disasters coming. We're seeing this increased inequality, etc. And that current situation will fade. And we need a different future. And the Horizon 3 is what we call the aspirational future, not the future we expect, but the future we want to get. And hopefully with time, that increases. And then Horizon 2 is how we get there. And, you know, we've got to sort of institute a set of activities to make that aspirational future happen. And we have a number of initiatives, some initiatives which get captured by the current situation. We call those Horizon 2 minus initiatives. An example is the ESG movement, which has just got captured by the current economic establishment. Or there are Horizon 2 plus initiatives, which are transformational initiatives, which we can build on to help us move towards this aspirational future. Now, in trying to think about how evaluation would contribute to this, we developed a picture of these three horizons. And our overview of the Horizon 1 is that evaluation is not effective in addressing or voicing the deepening polycrisis and the transformations required. But where we want to be in 2035 is that if all evaluation is contributing to transforming social ecological systems towards a just and regenerating planet. And to get there, we need people engaged with or inspired by evaluation, leading and taking the power to change the evaluation field, to transform social ecological systems for a just and regenerating planet. And those people could include parliaments, of course. So we developed this map of the current situation, which I'm not going to go through. We developed this map of the aspirational future, which I'm also not going to go through, but I am going to go through how do we get to that aspirational future. And if you remember, the first point, which was in the circle I showed, was if you look at the top left, people engaged with or inspired by evaluation are leading and taking the power to change the evaluation field. Okay? And in that thing, we see some core issues, systemic leadership. And there's a particular role, I think, for Parliament to try and make sure that there's leadership, not only on using evaluation, not just using evaluation to maintain the status quo, but using evaluation to take us into a transformational position where we're really trying to change systems to become sustainable and towards a safe and just future. And we need to be thinking about new measures of well-being, away from GDP, which is a very, very flawed measure, towards measures of well-being. We need to be able to dream a dream of how we can get to that aspirational future. And we need active groups that are working together to make that future happen. And so the types of collaboration you're seeing in this webinar, and for example, the Academy is working with Eval partners and others to try and to take this work forward. So one of the key areas that needs to happen is the decolonizing and repositioning of evaluation in centers of power so that they can address the polycrisis and so that they can address issues of power. And this is important for parliaments. So thinking not only about how do we just keep the current system going, but how do we move towards a system which will create a safe and just future. But to do that, we're going to have to transform values, mindsets, and competencies. And we need to think that, so we need to change those mindsets, values, and competencies within parliamentarians, within the support services which are supporting parliamentarians, within the executive, within the commissioners of evaluations, and within evaluators themselves. Otherwise, we will continue to just support a status quo, which is leading to destruction. And to do this, we need to reposition evaluation practice to strengthen transformational awareness and respond to the polycrisis. And we need to get evaluation that is polycrisis literate, if you like, embedded within civil society, within government and parliament, and within the private sector. So we need to reposition evaluation practice so that it's embedded across the policy cycle and the management process in government, and Parliament can assist there to make sure that that is happening. And we also need to strengthen practice. using systems approaches, technology, foresight, and local knowledge that are appropriate to culture and context. And if we do that, we can transform these values and mindsets. We can transform practice. So this is a picture of how we need evaluation to move forward. And we need to build an understanding across the divides that unless we speak the truth, and unless we address the crises which are facing us, we are heading towards disaster. So there's a task within parliaments to get some understanding of that, the position which faces us, the reality which faces us, and help us across society to move forward to using evaluation to contribute to this. So with that, thank you very much. So I wanted to, sorry, a couple more points. The way forward, using evidence is key to bringing about the world we want. So we need to be thinking about foresight and modeling. Evaluations have a key role in providing that evidence. Parliaments need to play a leadership role in anticipating the changes and helping to think about these changes and how we plan for it. We must focus on the capacity of parliamentary staff to use evaluations, and we need to think about systems. How can Parliament ensure the executive is evaluating systematically? How can government evaluations be more valuable, more timely, and inform Parliament systematically? And how can parliaments ensure the current system and the status quo is being challenged so that we do address the polycrisis and not to remain in stasis? Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yan, for this great presentation. You made us understand the issue of political polarization or the more global aspects, and to understand the importance for our parliamentarians to anticipate change that are happening around the world. Thank you for this presentation. I want to remind the audience that they can add their question in the Q&A chats when our speakers are doing their presentation. And later, when we restart the Q&A session, you can raise your hand. Thank you. So our next speaker is Honorable Ramesh Podial. Honorable Ramesh, please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Distinguished panelists and esteemed participants, good evening from Kathmandu. Today I'll discuss evaluation in Nepal's constitutions, policies, practices, and some insights. Next, please. Nepal is among the few countries in the world with a constitution enacted in 2015 that explicitly embeds monitoring and evaluation provisions. Key articles, there are two key articles, like Article 54, that establish a parliamentary committee to monitor and evaluate the implementation of the state's directive, principles, policies, and obligations. Likewise, Article 293 mandates accountability of constitutional bodies to federal parliament with committees tasked to monitor and evaluate their functioning. There are other sub-articles under Articles 51, 253, and 256. They categorically address evaluation processes. There are some additional provisions, that includes 7 sub-articles, and 2 schedules include provisions for monitoring. Next, please. This key constitutional articles, like Article 54, that mentions like there shall be a committee in accordance with law in the federal parliament to monitor and evaluate whether the directive, principles, policies, and obligations of the state set forth in this part have been implemented progressively or not. Likewise, the Article 293 mentions the chiefs and officials of the constitutional bodies must be accountable and responsible to the federal parliament. The committees of the House of Representatives may monitor and evaluate the functioning, including reports of the constitutional bodies. other than the National Human Rights Commission and give necessary direction or advice. The next slide, please. Based on constitutional provisions, Nepal's parliament enacted the Monitoring and Evaluation Act 2023. It came after 8 years of the constitution's adaptation. Here are the key highlights of the act. The purpose of the act to promote accountability, cost effectiveness, and transparency in implementing development policies and plans. The objective of the Act is to ensure objective, reliable, quality-focused, systematic, result-oriented, and effective M&E processes. The scope of the Act is to apply to federal, provincial, and local levels of policies, plans, and programs and projects. The effective date is commenced immediately upon authentication. That's Nepal Gazette has published this Act on 29th of March 2024. There are key terms which is defined in this act, like the monitoring is defined as continuous and periodic oversight, inspection, data collection, and analysis for improvement. Evaluation is defined as systematic assessment of ongoing or completed plans, including pre-evaluation for feasibility. Public agency is defined as includes government bodies, institutions, universities, and entities under government control or grants. Next slide, please. The Monitoring and Evaluation Act 2023 outlines the key provisions. I'm going to mention it here, like M&E requirements is like mandatory, regular, and periodic M&E for all plans at federal, provincial, and local levels, based on long-term vision, economic plans, approved programs, designs, costs, and international commitments. The evaluation types, like pre-evaluations, assess feasibility, risks, and cost benefit before implementation. Ongoing evaluation monitors coherence, effectiveness, and efficiency during implementation. Completion evaluation reviews outcomes, sustainability, and impact post-implementation. Impact evaluation is assess long-term effects on society and sustainability. Technical testing is that includes ensures quality assurance during M&E. External experts may be engaged if needed. Third-party involvement in independent entities or individuals not involved in plan formulation or execution may conduct M&E. Reporting. Public agency must submit quarterly, semi-annual, and annual progress reports to higher authorities. Next slide, please. The M&E Act 2023 establishes a robust mechanism to ensure effective implementation and accountability. There are institutional frameworks such as it establishes dedicated M&E units within public agencies at all levels to oversee implementation. There are parliamentary committees provide oversight and issue directives based on M&E findings. Accountability measures, like their public agencies are required to act on M&E findings and report corrective actions. Non-compliance with reporting or M&E requirements may lead to administrative or legal consequences. The stakeholder engagement, it encourages collaboration with civil society, UN agencies, and voluntary organizations for professional evaluation known as VOPEs to enhance transparency. Capacity building mandates training programs to strengthen technical expertise for M&E processes. Public disclosure, like M&E reports must be made publicly available to promote transparency and public trust. Next slide, please. Key challenges in implementing the M&E Act. The implementation of the Monitoring and Evaluation Act 2023 faces several challenges. The first one is institutional capacity gaps, like many public agencies, especially at provincial and local levels, lack trained personnel and technical expertise, hindering effective monitoring and evaluation adaptation. Another challenge is resource constraints. Limited financial and human resources restrict comprehensive monitoring and evaluation processes, with agencies often prioritizing other activities due to budget and staff shortages. The other challenge is data collection and management issues, logistic challenges in remote areas, lack of standardized data systems, restrictive data privacy laws, and cultural complexities impede accurate and timely monitoring and evaluation. The another challenge is stakeholder coordination and commitment. Weak stakeholder coordination among weak coordination among stakeholders such as government bodies, BOPs, UN agencies, and civil society, and varying levels of political will create inconsistencies in monitoring and evaluation practices across federal, provincial, and local levels. So these are the brief presentation from my side on the constitutional provision and legal provisions of Nepal on monitoring and evaluation, especially evaluation aspect. I thank you for your participation. Thank you. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you, Honorable Ramesh. Thank you for helping us to really understand the implementation of accountability mechanism, especially in the stage of our different countries. So I will switch to French because the next speaker is francophone. So finalement, nous allons introduire le dernier présentateur, Rab Jérémy Adomaou. Rab, vous avez la parole, s'il vous plaît. Merci.
Merci, bonjour à tous et merci d'avoir permis au réseau des parlementaires africains pour l'évaluation du développement APNOD, à travers ma personne, de participer à ce panel de haut niveau. Slide. On peut se demander pourquoi développer la culture évaluative. L'évaluation des politiques publiques vise à analyser si les moyens juridiques, administratifs et financiers mobilisés permettent d'atteindre les objectifs fixés et de produire les effets attendus. Elle émet un jugement de valeur sur l'intervention publique en examinant la pertinence des objectifs, la cohérence des moyens mobilisés, l'efficacité et l'efficience de la politique, ainsi que son impact et sa durabilité. Dans le cadre parlementaire, l'évaluation des politiques publiques est un instrument clé pour orienter les décisions publiques. Elle aide à répondre à 3 questions fondamentales. Comment fonctionne la politique et quels sont ses effets? Ces effets sont-ils à la hauteur des objectifs? Peut-on faire mieux et comment? L'évaluation des politiques publiques permet ainsi de modifier, mettre fin ou généraliser une politique publique sur la base de données factuelles. Elle constitue un levier stratégique pour renforcer la redevabilité, améliorer la gouvernance et garantir que les politiques servent réellement les besoins des populations. Slide, s'il vous plaît. Slide suivant. La jeunesse de APNOD, il y a déjà 10 ans, lors de la 7e conférence de l'Association africaine de l'évaluation, AFREA, à Yaoundé, au Cameroun, que les parlementaires africains présents ont lancé une initiative historique qui est de promouvoir une culture de l'évaluation au sein des parlements. Convaincus que l'évaluation joue un rôle essentiel dans l'élaboration des politiques publiques et la prise de décisions éclairées, ils ont reconnu l'importance de cet outil pour renforcer l'efficacité du développement et soutenir une croissance inclusive. Ils mettent en place à cette occasion le réseau des parlementaires africains pour l'évaluation du développement, APNOD. Slide. Des parlementaires africains de 7 pays, donc ils sont au nombre de 7, Cameroun, Éthiopie, Ghana, Kenya, Tanzanie, Togo et Ouganda, pour la mise en place de ce réseau il y a 10 ans. Et le réseau est axé sur le renforcement des capacités d'évaluation des parlementaires afin de mieux contrôler les actions exécutives. En effet, le réseau des parlementaires africains pour l'évaluation du développement, APNOD, est une plateforme unique réunissant à la fois les parlementaires africains, les partenaires du développement, pour promouvoir l'utilisation de l'évaluation dans la prise de décision nationale, améliorant ainsi l'efficacité du développement et la croissance inclusive à travers tout le continent. Slide suivant. La structure organisationnelle de APNOD. APNOD, l'instance suprême, c'est l'Assemblée générale annuelle. Et donc, comme c'est dit là, elle se tient tous les ans. Il y a les différents types de membres, hein, les membres fondateurs, les membres titulaires, les membres associés, les membres affiliés. Il y a le comité exécutif qui est composé du président, du vice-président, du trésorier et d'autres membres. Et nous avons un secrétaire exécutif et un secrétariat avec des chapitres nationaux au niveau des différents pays membres. Oui, slide suivant. La vision que porte ce réseau, le réseau des parlementaires, c'est le renforcement de l'utilisation de l'évaluation par les décideurs en améliorant la gouvernance et la responsabilité à travers l'Afrique. En plaidant pour les allocations budgétaires et des politiques de développement fondées sur des données probantes, le réseau soutient directement les objectifs de la Banque africaine de développement en matière d'intégration de l'Afrique, d'amélioration de la qualité de vie des Africains et de promotion de la gouvernance économique. Grâce à cette initiative, APNOD favorise le développement durable en permettant aux décideurs politiques d'utiliser l'évaluation comme un outil de prise de décision efficace en conduisant des changements transformateurs à travers le continent, en s'assurant que les ressources sont allouées efficacement et que les résultats sont ainsi maximisés. Slide suivant. Suivant. Comme objectif majeur, le réseau des parlementaires africains pour l'évaluation et le développement vise à soutenir les parlementaires africains dans l'utilisation et la promotion de l'évaluation du développement afin d'améliorer l'efficacité du développement et la croissance inclusive à travers le continent. Soutenir les parlementaires dans l'élaboration des systèmes d'évaluation nationaux par le biais des politiques et des législations. Suivant. Les projets et les réalisations du réseau. Bon, le réseau est opérationnel et continue de se développer. Et nous avons 4 sessions nationales qui sont créées et qui sont souvent animées. Il y a l'influence sur l'introduction de l'évaluation dans les constitutions. Nous avons déjà quelques pays qui ont constitutionnalisé l'évaluation. Il y a le Maroc, la Côte d'Ivoire, le Sénégal, pour ne citer que ceux-là. Et il y a d'autres qui ont fait une loi sur l'évaluation. On peut compter le Bénin, le Maroc, la Côte d'Ivoire, pour ne citer que ceux-là. Il y a une augmentation de l'empreinte et de la visibilité, donc le développement de notre page web, la contribution précieuse au dialogue mondial sur l'évaluation, le forum de haut niveau sur l'évaluation, le sommet workshop, Evidence Walk 2016, Eval Partner Global et conférence du CNE. Des séminaires en ligne sur l'évaluation au niveau local et un plan stratégique, un plan de travail triennal avec la collaboration avec beaucoup de partenaires comme l'AFREA, l'APEA, CLEAR FA, CLEAR AA, pour ne citer que cela. Slide suivant. Donc, en termes de conclusion, nous pouvons dire que construire une culture de l'évaluation au sein du Parlement ne relève pas simplement d'une réforme institutionnelle, mais d'un engagement stratégique en faveur d'une gouvernance transparente, inclusive et fondée sur des preuves. Depuis 2014, L'initiative portée par les parlementaires africains à travers des réseaux comme l'APNOD démontre que l'évaluation peut être un levier puissant pour renforcer la redevabilité, guider les choix budgétaires et favoriser des politiques publiques plus justes et efficaces. Dans un contexte mondial marqué par une polarisation politique croissante, l'évaluation peut jouer un rôle d'arbitre objectif en recentrant le débat sur les faits et les résultats tangibles. Grâce aux efforts collectifs et aux partenariats solides établis avec les institutions nationales, régionales et internationales, le Parlement peut devenir un acteur central de la transformation sociale en mobilisant l'évaluation comme outil de cohésion, d'amélioration de la qualité de vie et d'accélération du développement durable. Je vous remercie.
Merci, merci Président Adomao pour cette présentation de l'APNOD. Vous avez résumé les réalisations du réseau dans les pays africains, tels que l'introduction de l'évaluation des constitutions des pays francophones, tels que le Maroc, la Côte d'Ivoire et le Sénégal, et des lois de l'évaluation dans les pays tels que le Bénin. Merci beaucoup pour votre présentation. Donc, je vais passer à la langue anglaise. I will switch to English now. Thank you so much for your presentation. So now we are going for the Q&A session. I understood that there were a lot of questions in the chat from the participants from the audience. So some of the questions has been answered in the chat, but I will give the opportunity to the audience to raise their hand to be able to get a more explained answer from the speakers. For instance, we had a question for Dr. Yan from Sergio Romeno for a cross-country analysis about building culture evaluation. Have you identified a proxy quantitative variable that reflects the development of evaluation culture and can be used for country comparison purpose?
So I answered in the chat, but so the INSEE tool has been trying to do that sort of quantitative comparison, but the GEI has been doing a much more in-depth process to look not just at evaluation, but also at monitoring and evaluation and at the range of capacities and at how you build that culture and how monitoring and evaluation get embedded in planning systems and budgeting systems, etc. And I put in the chat the link to the MESA tool. I was involved in developing it actually. So.
Thank you, Dr. Yan. So I will encourage all the audience to add their question in the Q&A chats or in the main session. So in the meantime, I have prepared some questions as well for the speaker. So I will ask one question to each of you. Dr. Yan, as you have the floor, I will ask you the question. So please, in your work building national evaluation system, what lesson have you learned about maintaining credibility and trust in evidence where political polarization prevails? Thank you.
So I think, as I sort of mentioned in that example in the Appropriations Committee, one of the things I think that's very important is going beyond the bureaucratic process to build relationships and to build a common vision of where one's trying to get to. And the current situation is not very conducive to that. So you need to find ways that you can actually do that and facilitate that. But other things that we use, for example, is one of the things we did in South Africa is we did independent quality assessment of national evaluations so that they were checked to be credible. And for example, in some cabinet meetings, when I was presenting and the quality of the evaluation was challenged, I was able to respond and say, but this evaluation, it passed this score, so it's a credible evaluation that we can use. I think the other thing is just use the unit. Often there is a central unit. So in South Africa, it was the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation unit. It's really, really critical, that central unit, in being seen as an honest knowledge broker and building the confidence that it will hold government to account. It's not there to just justify government. It's there to help government to improve. And that evaluations also are made public, so people of all political persuasions have access to that credible knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yan. The next question is for Honorable Ramesh. Based on your experience in Nepal, what are the most effective approach to encourage parliamentarians to embrace evaluation as a tool for better policy making? And I believe that Dr. Yan also wrote a question in the chat for you. If you can answer both to those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anis. I would like to start with this to encourage Nepal's parliamentarians to embrace evaluation for better policy making. I think we should focus on at least three practical strategies. The first one is to link to constitutional duty. We should highlight the Articles 54 and 293 to frame evaluation as a mandatory accountability tool, using brief hands-out to connect monitoring and evaluation to voter trust and 2023 Yemeni Act. We should showcase local impact, share Nepal's specific Yemeni success stories, like improved rural projects via infographics or constituency reports to demonstrate tangible benefits and political value. Empower committees and champions, like equip parliamentary committees with simple Yemeni tools and train influential MPs as advocates to drive adaptation through peer influence and oversight. There are the strategies we could apply. And to respond on Dr. Yan's questions, we have the Yemeni Act now, but still we don't have bylaws and other necessary directives and procedures. So we are still waiting for that. So it's a quite a bureaucratic process. So we should still I think we should wait still for a while before we get the actual result of the act. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ramesh. There is a second question in the chat. I know you answered in the chat already, but to allow the whole audience to benefit from your answers. So the question was, once the Evaluation Act 2023 was passed by the Parliament, what are the efforts put on evaluation of the policies and programs in Nepal? Thank you.
Thank you, Anis. This is again we have now constitutional provision and we have now act, but that has not been in practice already, because we need bylaws based on that act, which is not prepared yet by the concerned ministry. So we are waiting for that, and once that is formulated by the concerned ministry, then we can really see the results that's happening. But for now, based on previous framework from National Planning Commission, the evaluation has been done only for this, for example, they call it project of the national pride, like big infrastructure projects such as road construction, electricity transmission, like hydropower projects and such as. So we are only working in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. So I will switch to French because the next question is for Honorable Adomaou. Honorable Adomaou, s'il vous plaît, j'ai une question pour vous. Pourriez-vous citer un exemple concret du Bénin où l'évaluation a directement influencé la prise de décision législative? Merci.
Merci, madame, et merci à tous nos auditeurs. Et oui, au Bénin, déjà depuis des années, l'exécutif mettait déjà en œuvre l'évaluation des politiques publiques. Le Parlement a rattrapé ce retard-là à partir des années 2017. Et très vite, nous avons évolué jusqu'à la mise en place d'une loi. Donc, c'est devenu une obligation pour nous aujourd'hui, même si la loi est votée seulement il y a un an, quelques mois, et les décrets d'application sont en cours. Mais avant le vote de cette loi, nous bénéficions des résultats d'évaluation du gouvernement, ce que le gouvernement même fait. Et c'est à travers ces résultats d'évaluation que nous tirons des données probantes pour le contrôle de l'action parlementaire. Mais cela ne se limite pas à ça. Je me rappelle encore il y a 2 ans, nous avons utilisé le rapport pays de la BAD sur tous les projets financés par la BAD, que ce soit les projets en électricité, que ce soit les projets routiers, et les observations et les recommandations issues de ce rapport d'évaluation nous a beaucoup aidé en commission pour poser des questions pertinentes au gouvernement sur les projets qui étaient encore en cours d'exécution afin d'améliorer la performance de l'exécutif sur les projets qui étaient en cours d'exécution pour impacter les populations. Donc, c'est dit qu'il y a des exemples et comme ça, la seule chose qui nous manquait et qui doit rentrer maintenant dans nos habitudes à travers la loi qui est votée, c'est que le Parlement même ne s'est pas encore donné les moyens de commander des évaluations sur des politiques données afin d'en apprécier. Pour le moment, nous utilisons les rapports d'évaluation fournis par le gouvernement et des partenaires techniques et financiers qui financent des projets de développement dans notre pays. Mais comme on s'est présenté avec le vote de cette loi, le Parlement est en train de travailler à mettre en place un mécanisme lui permettant de commander directement des évaluations sur des politiques publiques données et ne pas s'attendre seulement au rapport d'évaluation des partenaires techniques ou du gouvernement. Voilà le niveau où on est au Bénin et je pense qu'on travaille encore pour aller au-delà. Merci.
Merci, honorable. So we are going towards the end of our session. I will take one or two more questions before we pass to the closing remark. So I understood that a lot of questions was already answered in the chat, but to allow the whole audience to benefit from it, I will have two more questions. So one question from the chat was from Peter to Dr. Yan about evaluation processes, how they face resistance from members of parliament due to fears of increased scrutiny or potential political interference from higher authorities. Please, Dr. Yan, if you can elaborate more of this question, please. Thank you.
So, I mean, evaluation of its nature always raises huge fears. People are frightened that they will be exposed and they will be punished. And if you're in a dominant culture which is punitive, evaluation systems will not hold. You have to create a culture where people are willing to face failure to improve and to feel that they can admit that things are not working because they are going to work to improve them. And so there are many countries where I don't think evaluation will ever fit until the dominant culture changes. That's in Parliament and that's also in the executive. So a lot of my work as head of the evaluation system was actually to build confidence in ministries that we were not there to put a fire under them. We were there to try and improve the impact on citizens.
Thank you, Dr. Yan. So that was our last question. We are going towards the end of this high-level panel. Thank you for all the speakers and thank you for the participants. So I will introduce Dr. Romelo, for the closing remarks. Dr. Romelo, please over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie, and congratulations to our speakers for their very informative and insightful presentation. As we conclude this meaningful session on building evaluation culture in Parliament, approaches and potential for addressing political polarization, we have explored a wealth of insights and experience from across the globe, from South Africa and Nepal to the African continent through UpNode. At the heart of our discussion is the recognition that evaluation plays a vital role in strengthening parliaments and improving governance. Through public policy evaluation, we are not only assessing effectiveness and efficiency, but enabling informed decision based on facts, decisions that impact people's lives. We saw in South Africa how investing in the understanding of monitoring and evaluation among committee members and staff has transformed parliamentary dynamics from resistance to collaboration. Importantly, this experience reminded us of the critical role of parliamentary researchers in sustaining institutional memory and maximizing the value of evaluation. In Nepal, we saw a powerful example of how evaluation can be embedded in a nation's constitutional and legal frameworks. The Monitoring and Evaluation Act of 2023 institutionalizes various types of evaluation across all levels of government, underlining a strong commitment to accountability and transparency, despite challenges in capacity, coordination, and data management. From the African Parliamentarians Network on Development Evaluation, AfNode, we witness how evaluation can be championed collectively. Their work has contributed to the inclusion of evaluation in laws and constitutions, enabling parliamentarians to use evaluation to oversee executive action and shape evidence-based policies. Our conversation also touched on the larger global context, how evaluation must evolve to meet the complexity of the polycrisis we face today. We considered a forward-looking vision where evaluation becomes conceptually and politically agile, valued by society and capable of transforming systems, not just measuring them. As we reflect, one key theme emerges. Evaluation is not merely a technical tool, it is a democratic one. When we designed and used well, it can bridge divides, cut through political polarization, and bring back debates back to facts, results, and accountability. In closing, let us remember, building a culture of evaluation in parliaments is a strategic commitment to better governance. Parliamentary staff capacity is just as important as institutional frameworks. Systems must be designed to ensure timely, independent, and transparent evaluations. And finally, in a polarized world, evaluation can serve as a powerful, neutral force, fostering inclusive dialogues and supporting more just and effective public policy. Let us continue to build and champion evaluation, not just as a practice, but as a principle of good governance. Thank you and a pleasant day to all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Romelo, for this great summary. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going towards the end of our session. So thank you to the participants. Thank you to the speakers. We had a lot of diverse information today. We learned the global perspective with Dr. Jan Godman, President of the International Evaluation Academy. We learned the Asia perspective with Dr. Romelo and Honorable Ramesh Pojal, Executive Committee member of the Asia Pacific Parliament Forum for Evaluation. And we learned the African perspective with Honorable Jeremy Adomao, Chairperson of the African Parliamentarians Network for Development Evaluation. Thank you to all of you. So we encourage you to register to the next APEA event. Is already displayed on their website on LinkedIn, and the 5th APEA conference is going to happen in Tokyo from 11 to 14 November. Thank you for this engaging session. So after you log out, you will receive a survey. Please fill out the survey in just about 1 minute. Thank you so much for your participation, and then I wish you an amazing week. We will share the survey now. Thank you. I'm adding the link to the survey in the chat, please. Please fill out the survey before leaving. Thank you. Please, we add the survey in the chat. Please fill it out before logging out. Thank you.
Thank you all.